Oh, okay, you were alright when you told me in the comments of last week's review that this week's wasn't the season finale, even though I had said it might be in last week's review. You were right. I'm sorry. But it's suddenly ramping up and getting ready for Hi, I'm Phil. Welcome to my channel where I talk about all the geeky pop culture that I like, enjoy, consume, including things like Doctor Who, Star Trek, and the MCU, which is why we're doing weekly reviews here on the channel of WandaVision, and we're up to episode 8, entitled Previously On. A very apt and fitting title. I'm pretty much going to go straight into spoilers, but if you're curious about my non-spoiler views on it, I enjoyed it. I liked it. I thought that the kind of change in direction in terms of style and stuff that happened in this episode, it was the right time for it. I will miss the sitcom elements, but it felt like the right time. And we got a lot of exciting revelations in this episode, which we'll talk about more in a second. And yeah, I think it's set up some nice stuff. Ready for the finale or last 2 episodes. I'm still unsure about how many episodes are in this season. But overall, I had a good time watching this episode. Now let's go into it in a bit more detail and with spoilers. So if you haven't seen the episode, go away, come back, watch the review afterwards. So I said the episode title was very fitting, and it is, because it's kind of a recap of Wanda's life so far, from when she was a young child right up to the moments before the show starts. The previously on of Wanda's life. We obviously got the reveal last week that Agnes was in fact Agatha Harkness, and some people already knew what that meant. Some people might have been waiting to find out what that meant because they haven't read the comics or haven't seen the discourse around the speculation that it might be Agatha Harkness. To be honest, that's the only place I know the name from. I've never read any comics with Agatha Harkness in, even though I have read Marvel comics in the past. I was never a big Scarlet Witch and Vision or Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver fan in the comics, so I've never come across her before, and the only reason I knew when she said that name who she was is because everyone had been speculating about it beforehand, and I'd kind of picked up a rough idea of who she was from that. But if you didn't know before, you know after this episode, she's a witch, and she's a witch that other witches don't particularly like, because not only do we get a flashback, the most of the episode is flashbacks to Wanda's past, but we get initially a little flashback to her past as well, Agatha's past. It's Salem, it's the 1600s, Salem, the infamous witch trial location. I kind of liked how they did the little bit of misdirection here, because she's been walked through the streets, looks like she's being headed to a witch burning. That's what we think when someone's a woman's being dragged through the streets in 1600 Salem. You're gonna think witch trial, right? She even gets tied to a stake. And then they reveal that actually it's other witches that have tied her to this stake for some kind of ceremony. She has betrayed the coven in some way, betrayed their morals, what they stand for, and they seem to be doing some kind of spell to take away her powers, but then it massively backfires on all the other witches, because Agatha's power seems to be so strong that she can indeed suck the power and the life out of those witches as they're trying to do that to her, and even kills her dear old mum. So we get a nice bit of backstory here. I think this did a good job of, I really like the little switch there where subverting our expectations of it being set in Salem. I mean, it did it really quickly, but I think that worked really well. And it gives that background and establishes her as a powerful witch, and kind of gives you everything you need to know if you hadn't heard any of the speculation about who Agatha might be and what her role is as a witch and stuff. It kind of just gives you everything you need to know there and then. She's a witch. She seems to want to acquire other witches' powers, and she killed her mum. Then we cut back to where we left off in the crypt. Agatha is revealing. We get a lot of revelations in this episode. Most importantly, we get the revelation that Agatha, as kind of was hinted a bit last week when we saw the Agatha all along bit, she entered the town after it had been created. She was not involved in the creation of the town. We get that kind of confirmed in the very beginning of this, because she's asking Wanda how she did it. And Wanda doesn't really know, but she's still a bit hazy on that. She doesn't really remember. So Agatha wants to know because her powers of transmogrification and things don't stretch anywhere near to this level to be able to create a whole town, put a whole town under your sway and transform all of these different things. And she wants to know how to do it. So she wants to unlock that knowledge in Wanda and find out how she did it. But obviously Wanda doesn't know herself at this point. She is unclear of how she did it. So Agatha takes her on a little history trip back through Wanda's own memories. And I think these bits are where we get some really good character development that was needed for Wanda, because a lot of the stuff from Wanda from the movies, we found her in each of her movies in kind of situations where we're told that something has happened, and we're told, this thing has happened that has caused Wanda to act this way or whatever, be that Age of Ultron where we're told that she got radicalized by Stark weaponry blowing up her family or whatever, but we don't see it. We're told it, we're not shown it. And that's the same for the relationship with Vision as well in the movies. It kind of comes out of nowhere. They don't interact that much in Age of Ultron, a little bit. He saves her, but there's not really much interaction between the two of them. Then we get to Civil War, and suddenly they have a fondness for each other, and clearly are on their way to a relationship. But there's no, it doesn't feel like there's been the setup for it. And then, of course, you get Endgame, where they are full on in a relationship. And it just feels like we've missed the in-between bits. But these scenes kind of fill in a lot of those in-between bits. So I quite like that. I like how we're getting that character. We're getting shown the character development rather than just told it like we were in the movies. The first of those is that instance where they get radicalized in the first place. And the thing that leads them to joining Hydra and volunteering for Hydra. Because we get this lovely sort of scene establishing their family life, her and Pietro's family life with their mother and their father. Their father is bringing back, clearly trying to earn some money by selling American sitcom DVDs. And when he doesn't sell them, he brings them back and they watch them, which is clearly where her love of American sitcoms has come from. And we see her ask for her favorite one, which is the Dick Van Dyke Show, which was very much the inspiration for that very first episode of WandaVision, the very first black and white one we got. The style of that was very much Dick Van Dyke Show. And here we finally get the reason why that was her favourite show of the DVDs her dad brought back. And indeed was the one they were watching when the Stark Industries bomb hit. The bomb, incidentally, with the little flashing red light, as links back to the first advert we got in the very first episode as well, with the Stark Industries toaster with the blinking red light. So nice little tie back there to that first thing. I did wonder if all of the adverts would therefore tie into these moments, but other than that and the Strucker one, I don't think they really did. But interestingly, we also get at this moment her reaching out with her hand, seeming like she's trying to do something to the bomb with her mind. And we're left with this question of, did she use her powers? Agatha suggests that she used a probability hex to alter the probability of it going off, to stop it going off. And as far as she's concerned, it was just luck. As far as Wanda's concerned, it was just luck. But they're dropping those hints that she already had something there that then later the Mind Stone in the scepter, when she was being experimented on, sort of unlocked rather than gave her the powers in the first place. We see that experimentation. That's the next flashback in the Hydra base. She's being experimented on with the Mind Stone, with the scepter, and it does something to her, unlocking her powers. And then the next sort of bit of the past they visit is at the Avengers compound, sort of after Age of Ultron. Her brother has died, and this is where we get a lovely scene between her and Vision. Vision comes in and sort of comforts her, and we get to see that actual genesis of their relationship, which we never really got in the movies, which we were just told to assume had happened, but we actually got to see it here, and it was a lovely touching scene, and I thought it was played really honestly, and it felt really genuine the way they talked to each other there, the kind of awkwardness that they had, and the sort of the warmth. And you could see from her being quite hostile when he first came in, or a little bit hostile to his presence, her warming to him as his charm sort of worked on her, and she started to loosen up, and then by the end of it they've connected. She shared some things, he shared some things about the fact that he, does find it hard to empathize with this situation, because he hasn't felt that loss, because he's had no one to lose until she comes along, of course. It was very heartfelt, and it's the first time I've really felt that their origins of their relationship actually make sense. Then we get another perspective of a scene we have seen before in CCTV footage, her visiting Sword headquarters and the body. Now, when Hayward showed the CCTV of her breaking the glass and going down to the body beforehand, he said that she stole the body. That's revealed here to be a lie. Sneaky Hayward. She just wants to bury him, and she says that to Hayward. She doesn't want to do anything. In fact, Hayward suggests that she might be able to bring him back to life. That's his ulterior motive. He wants Vision operational again, as he says. Bring him back online, he says initially, before correcting and says alive. But she doesn't steal the body. She says goodbye, and she leaves the building. So Hayward lied in that earlier episode. And she leaves, and she's got a little envelope in her car, which we find out later were deeds to a plot of land in Westview. And there's a little heart, and it's got a V in it, so we assume that was from Vision. It was assumed that maybe that was something he was planning for them at the point of Infinity War, that he had bought a plot, maybe this is why they were hiding out in Scotland, had even started to build the foundations of the house on it. But that's in Westview. She gets to Westview, and looks like a very rundown place. Looks like a place that has not done well in the intervening 5 years since the snap. Maybe it was like that beforehand, I don't know, but it's certainly not doing well now. And we see lots of the actors that we have seen play the roles in her sitcom around the town, because they are the people that are in the town, and she is commandeered for her sitcom. We see Herb and a couple of the others as well. Now, an interesting observation that actually my 6-year-old daughter made, not me, but she made this. She actually said, as we were watching it, my 6-year-old daughter said, I think she sees everyone else is alone too, which was quite insightful, I thought. And I think, there's a part of this which she is driving through this town, feeling lonely, feeling like she's got no one, and she's seeing all these other people looking miserable, possibly alone as well, not having anything, looking like they've not got anything to their life. And maybe there's an element subconsciously when she does what she does in a minute, and when she breaks down and what happens, that she thinks she's helping them. She's driven through this town, she's noticed them all being alone, as my daughter pointed out, being sad, the place looking quite miserable, and she thinks that she can make their life better as well. Not at all in a horrible way when she takes over the town. Maybe she's trying to help them as well as help herself. Given that we find out in this episode that the commandeering of the town, the creation of this world, the bringing the people into it is all Wanda, I think it was important that there is that potential for grounding it in a very altruistic way, because otherwise, we want to still be able to empathize with Wanda, who has become a hero in the last few movies. We don't want her to be the bad guy, really. And we see her get to the plot of land with the foundations laid that Vision had bought for her, and she just breaks down. And it's another quite heartfelt scene. And then her powers, like, that's a good explanation, isn't it? The red powers sort of go and expand, and suddenly the house is being built around her. She's forming the matter with her mind, and big explosion. The bubble encompasses the town. Everything goes black and white, and she's in the Dick Van Dyke world, and she creates Vision. As we said before, she didn't steal the body. She has created this new Vision, seemingly coming out of her. It looked like the Soul Stone light was coming out of her, which might make sense, because don't forget that the Soul Stone was what activated her powers. There might be an element of the Soul Stone energy within her, so maybe she's used that to form this new vision and power this new vision. Then we get sort of one final scene. That's it for the flashbacks. Now she finds herself in a kind of TV studio with Agatha clapping, and then suddenly she hears her boys screaming. She runs out into the street. Agatha's got them sort of tied around the neck with some magical noose thing, and we get the revelations that Agatha believes she is this mythical being that shouldn't really exist, called the Scarlet Witch. Someone with so much power they can literally form matter. And finally we get the name the Scarlet Witch. She's got a code name. Cue those annoying end of episode credits where they come on just when you really want to know more. We did get a mid-credit scene again. It was outside the bubble. Hayward has Vision's body, or a recreation of Vision's body, and some way of powering it. So he has brought that back online. It's an all-white Vision, and is it good guy? Is it bad guy? Is it going to have Vision's memories? We don't know. We're going to find out soon, hopefully. Like I said at the beginning, so I think this was the right time to do this kind of episode. I think the sitcom stuff, I really enjoyed it while it was going on. I do slightly miss it because I really did enjoy it, but it does feel like the right moment in the story to move on from it now. And from a narrative perspective, it would be silly to do another one. So I completely understand why they're not. And we got a lot of good stuff this episode. I did wonder where Monica was, though. I mean, I know this was very much a focus on Wanda episode, but we got left with that mid-credit thing with her and Pietro last week, Monica and Pietro, and I'm kind of wondering where they are. Really hope they get to that fairly quickly next week. We also didn't see Vision outside of the flashbacks and stuff. We didn't see what Vision was up to, because last time we saw him, he'd left the car that Darcy was in and was heading back into town to find Wanda. So I'm guessing he'll turn up early next week as well. And yeah, we've either got 1 or 2 episodes left. I don't know which. I saw a tweet from Disney saying 2 more episodes left, so I'm guessing there's 10, but are they both going to be next week? Are we getting 2 episodes next week? Because the week after next week, I think Falcon and Winter Soldier starts, and I wouldn't have thought they would have wanted 2 being released on one day. 2, but maybe, I don't know. Either way, really looking forward to it. Look, what did you think of the episode? Did you enjoy it? Do you miss the sitcom stuff? Do you think it was the right time to move on? What was your favourite moment of the episode? Let me know all that stuff in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all that jazz, because I am here for lots of MCU reviews to come. As soon as WandaVision is finished, we'll start reviewing Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So there is MCU stuff to come on this channel, as well as Doctor Who, Star Trek, and other pop culture as well. So do subscribe for all of that. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next week for another exciting edition of WandaVision. Bye.